All right, welcome to It Takes a Family, a podcast that helps take parenting from desperation to hope. I'm one of your hosts, Andy.
And I'm your co-host, Kelly. Once a week, we'll highlight experts and other parents like you who have been in the trenches of parenting, bringing hard lessons learned and insights on how to navigate even the most difficult of family circumstances.
Thanks. We are continuing our series on whole family healing and these kind of 5 components that we've talked about: your story, family dynamics, child's unique gifts. And today we're talking balance of nurture and structure. I knew there was one that I was forgetting. Today we're talking about community, and we're talking about community with Dr. Stephanie Shackelford, who has written an incredible paper. We're really excited about what you have to share with us today, Stephanie.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here. Hey, and just a little bit of background of Stephanie. She is Dr. Stephanie Shackelford. She is a senior fellow at the Barna Group, where she has researched and written for a variety of nationwide research studies on Gen Z, mental health, purpose, calling, and discipline. She is the author of You on Purpose, Discover Your Calling and Create the Life You Are Meant to Live. You can learn more about Stephanie and her work at stephshackelford.com.
Excellent. Awesome. We're so glad you're here. The place that we like to start is this. With all of our guests, we kind of want to frame it within your family. So we'd love to know about the family you grew up in and the family you help lead now.
Sure. So I grew up in Winter Park, Florida, right outside Orlando.
Okay.
I lived there, the same house my whole life until I went to college. I was an only child, so tight-knit, close with my mom and dad and me and our cats. And then currently we live here at Eagle Ranch. My husband, John, is the executive director at Eagle Ranch, as you all know. We moved here 4 years ago, and we have 3 kids, a 9-year-old boy, 6-year-old girl, and 2-year-old girl.
Excellent. And how many baby chicks at your home currently?
Oh, well, as of 6 a.m. this morning, we have 40 new baby chicks in addition to our 40 full-grown chickens. So just a little backyard operation.
And your giant Great Pyrenees dog.
Yes,
so.
our guard dog, Coop, because he guards the coop.
That was incredible.
You're living the dream.
I had Shackelford eggs this morning in preparation. So
Were they good?
They were delicious.
They
I was ready to go. All right, so we're not here to talk about chickens, although we could if you need to. But you wrote a really great paper on teens and mental health, and I would recommend it to anybody to go read it because I know I learned a lot in reading it. What did that kind of research show? Give us kind of a broad picture of what you found in that.
Sure. So as many people know, Gen Z, which is ages 9 to 25 currently, is really experiencing a mental health crisis. And so if you look at rates of anxiety and depression, these have really skyrocketed for teens compared to other diagnoses, which have remained relatively stable. Anxiety and depression are just very, very high levels. And so the Barna Group, which is where I do research with, we wanted to look at this more. So we looked at academic research, literature, and also I interviewed over a dozen experts in different fields to really understand what's going on. And so we identified 6 main things of what's contributing to this crisis, everything from technology, which is no surprise, as well as just this lack of purpose and meaning in teens' life. And then a big part was community, which we'll talk about today.
Yeah, and that is kind of the heart of what we want to talk about. But your research really, I think it was really helpful. The technology part of it is interesting to me, and even in this idea that this is the most connected, air quotes, generation that we've ever had. Mm-hmm. Kids have social media. They have ways to connect in a way that none of us growing up had. And so, but we're still kind of lacking community among them, almost way worse than
real connection.
Real connection. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
I think one of the big things we saw and what research would call is that this virtual connection that teens have is a very thin community. So we're really missing the thickness of community, which is robust relationships within a community that really lead to in-person experiences. It's just where you get a lot of the benefits from relationships. When everything is virtually connected, it's just thin. There's nothing to it. Yeah. And every single expert that I talked to, and these were very different disciplines and fields, but every single one said the number one area that they would focus on to help this mental health crisis for teens is relationships. So they all saw that relationships play a huge role in our mental, our physical, even our physical health.
So what when they say relationships, they mean friendships? Like what do they mean by that?
Yeah, all the above. So relationships with family, with friends, with mentors, with older adults. You have been a mentor to youth. The U.S. Surgeon General has called it an epidemic of loneliness, and so it's really a huge thing we're seeing really across every demographic, but particularly for teens, because that's where they're used to relying on technology to just be in touch and engage through memes or social media.
And I think it's so interesting because this generation, they don't know any different.
Right.
It's not like, well, do I want to go outside and play with my friends or get on TikTok? They really haven't had a history of going outside and playing with their friends. So they only know sort of this way of communicating.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I just think is really sad.
And the research shows there's a big link between the amount of time you spend on social media and the lack of relational connection or the heightened social isolation that you feel. So there's a strong correlation there as well.
I mean, it's in some level, like, we kind of know that. Like, it makes sense in my brain as I think about it. But you do say, like, hey, they're spending all this time. If you're a gamer, you're spending all this time with people, but it's the thin relationship that's not really creating, that depth that we would desire. So I guess part of the question then is like, all right, in some ways, what's the solution? Like, where do we go to find this community?
Mm-hmm. So, teens are really struggling to even know how to have conversations or connection to go to that deeper level. Like you said, it's kind of stays at this surface level. And so environments that really help foster this sense of depth and that are really designed to do that. So church would be a huge place for that, of coming together as a community to do life that's on a deeper level is a big one.
And in general, kind of what role do you see the church playing?
I think there's lots of roles. I think a really powerful one is, again, that thickness of community that I was talking about, of when you're together sharing experiences, whether it's prayer or worship or different components of a church service or a small group, you're really experiencing this life together. And so I think one of the really interesting research that we looked into is that religious service attendance, so attending church, is a stronger predictor of reduced suicide, reduced depression, more so than any other type of relational connection. So regardless if you're married or the number of friends you have, or if you've recently seen a friend, or if you're close to your family members, attending church blows all that out of the water of the strongest predictor of mental well-being.
Why do you think that is?
You beat me to the question.
Well, that's
it's interesting.
That's a powerful statistic or a powerful.
Yeah. I think there's probably lots of components. I think one of them is, well, I'm sure there's a spiritual aspect.
Right.
But I think also just doing life together, setting aside time to participate in something as a community is just creating a lot of opportunities to model a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose that kids are so lacking. Yeah. And I mean, adults are lacking as well. And so that really provides this space to be together and experience things that we're not experiencing in our day-to-day lives.
Well, and I think we were talking earlier before we were recording, and Andy was comparing it to like his experience being a baseball coach. Mm-hmm. And, it's community, you're all there, but you're kind of rallying around winning a baseball game, which is great. But again, it's back to that kind of more shallow conversations where at church there's opportunity for richer conversations.
Right. I mean,
not that there's not when you're on the
absolutely. I mean, there's
field.
an opportunity to connect with something deep, a reality that's deeper. And so, again, you can find some community on a baseball team, and that may be a good place to go and connect with the other parents and spend time like that. There's value for sure in that. But I know I found the conversations didn't really go past baseball. We might have said, "Hey, buddy, how was your day at school? Good. All right, great. Go grab your glove and run out there to the shortstop." Right? And you just you had to really work. If you're a coach, you have to really work to sort of make that next level connection. Where church, you kind of enter the church space like a little bit more willing to dive deeper. You can hide at church. You can go and do activities to sort of not be in community, but you have to work a little harder to not be in community in a church setting. But so what would you say to the person who is not a believer or doesn't have a faith background, and the greatest indicator is church? Like, sort of, how do you reconcile that? What would your advice be to a parent in that space?
Yeah, I would say I think that church is offering such a unique place to not only explore spiritual questions, but really experience a sense of belonging that is really hard to find in other places in our culture. And so even, this stat, it doesn't have anything to do with what your religious beliefs are. It's just attending church. And so obviously, as a believer, I would want someone to attend church to also learn spiritual truths. But if you're just exploring or open to learning, I think church would be a great place, a healthy church, I would say, to go and be part of a robust community. Any healthy church is going to be really focused on discipleship, and that's relational connection. And so that's exactly what we're talking about. And so I think that would be a wonderful environment to bring your family into and learn and grow and see what it's like to be part of that.
I grew up with kind of no spiritual input. I grew up not going to church, and I look back now compared to like my daughter, who very engaged in small groups and different things with the church. And just, it is true, just the level of richness and depth of friendships that she has is so different than what I had growing up. So yeah, especially for the kids, if you get them engaged. And
I mean, I worked at church for a while, 8 years at 2 different churches. And I think if somebody had come and said, "Hey, we don't really have any interest in your beliefs, but we're here for the community," we would have said, "Great, come on in." Like, I think any good church is going to go, "Yeah, absolutely, come on in." Like, just hang out. You can take advantage of all that we're doing. Like, that's what the churches are going for,
well,
right?
And I think it's funny too, because everyone at the church is like, nobody has it figured out.
Right.
So it's like, come not figure it out with us. So
there is a fear, particularly if you're not of a faith background, that like you have to have a certain, like you have to act a certain way or sort of know the code. And I really don't know that that's true. Most good churches would say, "Hey,
that's qualified.
Come on."
I know. Well, I'm kind of from a totally different background. Like, I was completely intimidated at the idea, because they're talking about things I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I do think, maybe if someone's listening to this and they don't have that faith background, like, do you know someone like at work or in your neighborhood, or just someone that is involved in church, and just, take that risk and say, "Hey, I'm still kicking the tires here, but have someone almost like guide you in, so you're not just floundering out there by yourself." So,
well, and part of my experience growing up, I grew up in the church, so part of my experience was good intergenerational community. Like, I had folks that were my parents' age that I knew I could go talk to. What's anything in your research, the value of intergenerational community? What have you seen in that?
Yeah, so we were kind of talking about exploring what you believe. Well, if you want to take to the next level, the 2 markers that they found for producing mature faith in high school and college students is intergenerational worship and intergenerational relationships.
Interesting.
And so specifically, they found through research that every youth needs 5 key older adults in their lives speaking into them. And this isn't the person you see occasionally. Like, this is 5 adults that are really involved in your life on your team.
In addition to their parent or parents?
I think the parents could be included in that, but you would also need outside people from parents. And there's just such value of again, feeling that sense of belonging, but also that you matter, that they're willing to take time to spend with you. That really speaks volumes to a teen's heart.
And I think especially at that age, I just think, I know at that age, I would be like, well, what does mom know or what does dad know? But another adult, well, they know something, So
Yes.
just having that other voice that's
Willing to encourage,
Yeah.
but also challenge a little bit
Right,
in a
right.
good way,
Absolutely.
but alongside. And so it's a lot of value. And again, church is a really great place to have some of those mentoring relationships in small group discipleship type things.
Yeah,
Great.
that's good stuff.
All right. So how, if you're a parent, how can you help your kids practice community? Like what are some of the ways that you can say, hey, let's go do community like this?
I think a big one is really helping teens find places to be with friends, not with screens.
Gotcha.
And so this is hard. That's hard,
Yeah, that's real hard.
especially as teens get older and they may be driving. So starting young is helpful if you do have
Right.
young kids, kind of setting the
Right.
precedent. But again, church is also another great example of this. They a lot of times do youth retreats where kids can't bring their phones, and
Right.
the youth pastors that I interviewed for this study, most of them said it's so awkward at first. The kids don't even know how to look each other in the eye or what to talk about. But by the end of the weekend, they've really grown. And part of the youth pastors were saying they actually will almost teach them like how to engage. And so, but parents can do that too at the dinner table. Like no phones at the dinner table. We're going to actually just practice conversation, looking each
Interesting.
other in the eye, asking questions, responding. And so that's very practical, but I think so needed for teens. And then also, I think regularly serving together as a family is really important, especially along talking about the intergenerational relationships. Having older adults that you're also serving with serves two functions of getting to be around older adults and have potential relationships develop there, but serving fills that need for teens to have a purpose and see meaning, which is so lacking.
Yeah.
And so especially doing that as a family can be really a bonding experience and unifying in the context of community.
And I think that also ties in so much with kind of getting our minds off ourselves. Because
Yes.
I think so much of that anxiety and depression is because we are just so wrapped up in ourselves. And I think the kids even struggle with that more. So to be able to go out and be thinking, well, I can go help
and
these people.
ideally,
These people
not
are
just,
struggling.
one-off service is great, but ideally really consistently serving as a family
Right.
member, because
Yeah.
that's where you develop the relationships.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to see the sense of purpose and meaning. Again, a Saturday is great,
Yeah.
but then if you could do that every quarter, that'd be even
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you think that part of it is, yes, introducing your child for the sake of introducing your child, but also like I found that the parents who practice community themselves,
Yes.
it's like caught in their children,
Yes.
right? The parents who regularly are having friends over for dinner
Yes.
and their home is a place that's welcoming and they're engaged in a small group, like it becomes almost natural for their children in that same regard.
Yes.
So I mean, part of it always is a challenge for me and leading our family is like how do Emily and I practice community such that our kids don't think it's weird that somebody would come over for dinner or
We're having a game night or
whatever it might be.
And also, are you putting your phones away, or
Yeah.
are you trying to have a conversation while
easy, Steph. Easy.
This is about the children.
Yeah,
Steph.
this is about the other parents, Steph. Gracious. No doubt, like the kids are learning from the parents
Yes.
Yes.
as it relates to technology, as it relates to community. Like we're passing something to them. And so if every time they're asking us a question, our face is in our phone, they learn from that. So
Yes.
all right. What's like a little step? And we've talked about it some, but like if you said, hey, a family, I just want you to take this one little baby step towards more community. What's one step that you would encourage a family in this particular area?
Kind of along the lines you were saying, when we're talking to parents, a lot of times they feel so alone and like they're trying to forge this path by themselves of limiting screen time and getting kids outside to play and having relationships and serving. And so just having one other family that has some of these same values can be immensely helpful. of having one family with teens or kids that you can do dinners with regularly, that we're going to put our phones away when we're having dinner, or we're doing a game night, or we're going to all go serve together on this weekend. Again, that's not only modeling community for your kids and with you as well, but also can just, you're not the odd one out. We can be fighting an uphill battle, but when you have people along catching the vision with you, it's really motivating.
Well, I had an interesting conversation with my sister. We're both raising kids, like teens now, and like phones, or navigating this thing. She's like, how did you kind of navigate like the phone thing with your oldest? And so one of the advantages is we had some friends in his class who just sort of see the world the same way as we do. And so the fact that we waited a little bit longer than some of his peers to give him a phone, and we have restrictions, and we have some things, like it's not as much a fight,
right?
Because not like all of his buddies are going, you're weird, you don't have a phone. Like, it was just sort of common.
And he can't say, I'm the only one.
Right. No.
We know that is not true.
He actually still tries. But we're like, no, what about so-and-so and so-and-so? We know. And then, well, so-and-so has one. We're like, well, that's not everybody. So I do, like, that has been a really beneficial and helpful thing for us as a family to have that. And we sort of just lucked into it in some ways, right? We just were around some people who thought that, but
the same way.
But it is, because my sister was saying, like, it was really hard, because really, where she was living and all that, it really was everyone.
Yeah.
And their kids are looking at them going, what the heck, mom and dad? So.
And I have a question too, kind of along those lines. What about, what would you say to the parent who maybe they did give the cell phone to their kids earlier, and they're kind of already down this path where, they wish they could reel it back in? I mean, can you do a like family reset, or, are there ideas for how to maybe get a fresh
I think
start?
Families have done it different ways. I think being open, having a conversation of, now we know all these things, and I know you're not going to like it, but really for the benefit of your mental health and well-being, this is what's best. And the whole family can do a technology fast that can look different ways. Whatever you're, for a whole week, you're not going to, I don't know, play video game, whatever it is that you feel like you need to get back in line, and just kind of reset can be helpful. And then again, doing it in community where it's like, hey, we're all going to do this hard thing together with this other family, and having other experiences. It's one thing to take something away, but you have to add something that's even better. So going for hikes on a Saturday, doing some adventure as a family with another family or teens or kids.
40 chickens.
Yeah, 40 baby chicks to raise.
At the post office at 6 a.m. Anything. Really.
Anything.
Just thinking of things off the top of my head.
I think like the opportunity for parents to be transparent. To just say, to your point, hey, based on what we know now, we need to kind of dial things back. All of us. I think including yourself as a parent, saying, I want to engage more in a community.
And talk about what your vision is for a family. We want to be a family that can have people over and really is in community and serves. In order to do those things well, we need to not do other things as much.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, Stephanie, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for just your time and your expertise and the way that you're helping lead in this conversation. We're really grateful for you.
Oh, it was great talking to you.
Yeah,
guys
your
today.
heart just comes through for families and parents like all of us that are trying to figure it out. So
yes,
I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. We hope that this episode was encouraging to you and gave you valuable insights you can use. Tune in next week for stories from parents like you to hear their hard lessons learned and insights they wish they knew going through parenting as well.
All right, folks, let us know if you enjoyed this episode by leaving a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps other parents find the show and tell other parents about it too. Feel free to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram and let us know what topics and questions you want to listen to. It's been a real pleasure today. Thank you so much to Dr. Stephanie Shackelford, and have a wonderful week.